Chapter 10 of Oracle PL SQL in 10 minutes. Just to kind of refresh what we're doing, we're going through this book. We're currently in Chapter 10, which is talking about creating calculated fields. The concept is I can do stuff in the database or I can do stuff with the SQL calls. We're using Application Express, in that we've gone and created a sample database interface by requesting a temporary workshop, which gives us 25 meg of database storage, and we created with scripts some tables, vendors, products, orders, customers, and then populated the tables. So what we're doing now is going into Chapter 10, pull things out of the database, and then manipulate them. For example, if I want to add two things together, or if I want to multiply two things together, it makes it a whole lot easier. And the example here is we're going to concatenate some strings where we're going to pull the vendor's name and the vendor's country from the vendor table. So in this example, we're going to go into the SQL query function. We're going to copy it from the book, we're going to paste it, and then we're going to look at the return values down at the bottom. So notice we've got Acme, USA as a return value, a return string, and everything else comes back the way expected. Remember, if we're looking for more than 10 values, we actually have to set it and say, show us more, but with this example, it came back and showed us only 6. Now that worked fine, but unfortunately what we'd like to do is space it out a little bit so that it's formatted a little bit nicer. So we use the ArtTrim function, and what the ArtTrim function does is it gets rid of some of the spaces. In Application Express, it kind of does that for you, but if I do any other type of mechanism, with the SQL command, it doesn't clean up the format. This actually cleans it up for you, so the ArtTrim isn't needed inside of Apex, but it is needed inside of the SQL server. So notice here we're actually coming back and saying, rather than do the return value that's kind of weird and munged, we're going to append a title. So vend_title should replace what we see there. So it's a little bit neater. You can format the output so it looks a little prettier. So in this example, we're going to go and select what products have been sold, what's been ordered from a customer, or from ordered items, and come back and list it. Now, one of the problems is somebody orders more than one, we'd like to actually show that, because if we've got a quantity of 10, the item price is $5.99, we'd like to express that. The question is, how do we express it? So the first way of doing it is do the calculation in the select statement, rather than having to store it in the database. So the concept is I select the product ID, the quantity, the item price, and then I add another column, and I'm going to multiply the quantity times the item price and call it expanded price. Or if I want to call it something different, net price. So when I run this, I should get an aggregate of product ID, quantity, items, and then the net price is the multiplication. So the idea is we can do operators out there like multiply, division, add, and subtract so that we get different quantities and subquantities. The thing you have trouble doing is more complex things with functions, which is what the next chapter is.